back to DundalkTV for part 2 of the interview with Josh and Nicole Landers and their friend Kevin Leary.
We run a Facebook group called Parent2Parent Network. We utilize that group as a means of raising awareness about the school violence and safety issues.
200,000 children per day throughout a school year will stay home from school as a direct result of fear of bullying or physical violence. That equates to 4 million students per month out of 50.7 million. So 8%, roughly 8% of the public school education population is staying home from school per month to avoid bullying or fear of physical assaults. We also have a statistic that's even more mind-blowing, that there are 4,600 suicides per year of children between the ages of 12 and 18 as a direct result of bullying. Now, that does not include the students that have traumatic brain injury from physical assault. That doesn't include students that have been physically assaulted necessarily before. And it also doesn't include the students below the age of 12, which is a sad thing because there's an estimated another 600 children less than the age of 12 that will commit suicide this year. So if we add that in, that's 5,200 children that lose their lives every year because of bullying. The Office of Civil Rights from the Department of Education released a recent report and said that they received 135,900 founded bullying reports in the school year of 2015 through 16. So for an entire year, they had 136,000 bullying reports that were founded, yet 200,000 children per day stay home for fear of bullying. So we feel like that is for a number of reasons. One, underreporting. We have testimony and information from multiple sources that tell us that administration is not writing down or submitting numerous bullying reports. They are not addressing bullying on paper. They may do it face-to-face, but they are not documenting. They are telling teachers to stop sending children for referrals just to deal with it. And they're suppressing all of that data because they know they have to intervene if it actually gets written down. They know that it will affect their risk ratios for suspension and expulsion data. So the schools and the administrations and then the district's administrations are operating from a place of fear. And they're sacrificing the 50.7 million students in public schools today and a little over 3 million teachers. We want to see the teachers have their authority within a classroom restored. We want to see children be able to go to school and be safe. We want disruptive classrooms to not be disruptive, so the other 25 kids that are in a classroom can actually have the opportunity to learn. We want interventions for the children that are in really bad places, bullies or the ones being bullied, homelessness, food insecurities, family problems, parents that are separating. We know all of these things are pretty traumatic to younger children, and we want to see that they have access to help for those things. But we need to see the discipline restored. We need to see the teachers empowered again.
I think just this week with the situation that we had with Michael, with the young man who actually got disciplined, he learned a lesson, and it just shows that if you discipline these children, they will want to correct the situation. If you have no discipline, they don't have any want to get it, to fix it. They'll just go back and do it again. And to add to the suicide statistics, for every one person, every one child that is successful committing suicide, there's 100 kids who attempt it. So if you multiply that by 4,600, that's a lot of children who are attempting suicide in our country.
Well, how many are contemplating? That's
Correct.
Totally amazing. So, I've noticed that they're trying to sweep these problems under the carpet, and you're bringing out, Kevin, a great story that actually, with the discipline, is turning things around. Now, I'd like to know more about information about people when you've reached out to them, elected officials and also the media. Let's start with the elected officials first, and whoever wants to take that question.
We've had balanced success. One of the first two, I'll say, politicians that we had met with, one was Kevin, who has a passion for children regardless of his political affiliation or his run for office. The second was Christian Mealy. We ended up becoming friends with Christian. Christian introduced 6 bills this past session in Annapolis. Was only able to get one of them passed. It was an anti-bullying task force for Baltimore County. Unfortunately, the House Ways and Means leadership, the Democratic leadership, butchered his original text in his bill. They removed parents, they removed PTA members. They basically made it another appointed board, or another appointed task force. However, from that, we've had an opportunity to meet many other folks. We've met some folks who are running for office and some folks who are elected in office. Currently, we are strategizing for 2019 legislative session as to what things we are going to need to do. That will be very dependent upon the federal guidance getting rolled back and whether or not we can actually go and codify existing Maryland law. We can repeal existing regulations that are in place, and we can get buy-in from the state school board as well as the legislature. A couple of other folks that we've talked with. So Eric Bromwell, I'm sorry. Steve McIntyre is running for office. We've had brief discussions with Al Redmer, with Pat McDonough, with Robin Grammer, Bob Long, Johnny Ray Salling, J.B. Jennings, a couple of folks that are running in the 7th District, Sergeant Penman, Lauren Erikin, and they just happen to be the ones that are closest to us. We've also become friends with Tony Campbell, who is running for United States Senate. We had a great conversation just yesterday with Liz Maturi, who is running for U.S. Congress. We've had some great conversations with Deb Sullivan and David Marks, who are both running for Baltimore County Council.
We have found David Marks and Deb Sullivan to be strongly willing to assist us and take part in our efforts.
Absolutely. And that would be on a ground level. So we've had events at Perry Hall High School, Perry Hall Middle School, Sparrows Point Middle School. Gosh, I'm trying to think of the school from Tristan's. It's eluding me right at the moment. There's just a number of different locations. When we asked David to get involved and invested, he jumped right in support of the things that we're doing. We know that on a lot of places, the elected officials' hands are tied. We are hoping that their relationships or their strength of relationships would move things forward and make it more transparent and accountable.
Well, and as an organization, our goal would be to have working relationships with any and all legislators that are willing to listen and hear us, because that's what it's going to take. The issue is not a political issue. The issue is safety for teachers and kids, and that's something that we all need to come together about.
Absolutely.
Well, in the beginning, when we first started working together, we were able to meet with Andy Harris as well.
Yes.
Who actually helped to get that door open.
He sure did.
So we could talk to Betsy DeVos.
Yeah.
So we've had a lot of people try to help us to get our goals met, and I think while this is not a political issue, we need to get the right people in the right positions, and that includes federal, state, and local level politicians to be able, once these regulations are rolled back, to be able to have the right people in the right positions to be able to do the changing of the laws, the Tomar laws, and the local legislators in Towson to be able to change what they say about discipline in Baltimore County public schools. And I don't like to bring politics into it, and they know I just try to keep my campaign and this separate, and a lot of people don't. They try to mix it, and I don't know, I just feel like I need to keep it separate. But I know once I get to Annapolis, when I get to Annapolis, I have a big job to do for this organization to make sure that our schools are safe for our kids.
As would the Baltimore County Executive, as
Right.
would the Anne Arundel County Executive, as it would be for all of the other state delegates and senators
And school boards.
and school boards,
Right.
local school boards, Hartford County, Anne Arundel County, Howard County, Baltimore County. We have to make relationships with a lot of folks.
And it has to be a combined effort. Otherwise, we can't get the schools safe. We can't fix Baltimore County.
Right.
This is not just Baltimore County Public Schools. It's not just our state. It's national. But on a state level, without legislators and school boards in every county coming together and really aggressively working to repair law, and COMAR and the state board taking up our petitions, we can't get the schools safe. But if we work hard together, it absolutely is possible.
Absolutely.
It has to be team.
Well, I can tell a lot of hard work has gone in so far by the three of you, because it's hard to get that many people's attention that you've already gotten. So if you have any more to follow up on that, I wanted to move to the news, how you've been doing with them. But if you have anything else to follow up with the political figures, please share.
I try to keep politics out of it. I mean,
Yeah.
we're trying to be a team to make schools, to make our community better for our children. That's it. I mean, that's what this is all. It's all about the kids.
And
It's
we
safety.
know that
Mhm.
we have relationships and friendships that we're going to have to make, but
Right.
it's bigger than just that. The personal nature of some of these phone calls, the personal nature of the stories that we're getting. I've had a chance to befriend a father of a 6-year-old whose daughter was stabbed in Hartford County Elementary School in 1st grade.
Along with 6 other students.
Along with 6 other students, and the offender was back in class within 3 days. But I've had a chance to personally get to know the dad and to reach out to him and just say, "Hey, how you doing?" And he asks how we're doing. It's just building a community. It's building a bigger family, and that is terribly exciting and enriching for us, I feel like. And I'm excited that as our family just keeps getting bigger and bigger.
Okay, so let's move on to the media. What have the results been? I know to deal with the media sometimes is like hitting the lottery. So, just to get their attention on important issues like this, people that don't realize it, that haven't tried to reach out to the media to get exposure.
In the realm of the local media, I've been trying to get attention since the initial incident happened last year with my high schooler, without success. Anytime I saw any reporter, journalist write locally on a school violence related issue, I reached out to that author and tried to convey, hey, we have this information, without ever getting a response. The organization locally that has stepped up and become involved with us is Fox 45 Project Baltimore. Pardon me?
And the Baltimore Post.
And the absolutely the Baltimore Post. Those two have been responsive to us. Actually, the Baltimore Post responded to us first.
They did.
And offered support. They were the very first folks locally to do so. And we were surprised because we were invited all the way up to the U.S. Secretary of Education without any local media having asked us even one question. Our daughter was the only student selected nationally, so it really surprised us that no local media wanted to know more. But after the Post, then when Jared had his incident with the suicide note, Project Baltimore did become involved, and they have been aggressively supportive of us.
Very much.
On a national level, we've done really, really well. I was able to make some really strong national media connections after my meeting with Secretary DeVos, and we have found a lot of support from the Federalist, the Washington Times. We found a lot of support from the Weekly Standard,
Daily Caller,
the Daily Caller,
Daily
the
Wire.
Daily Wire, NRA TV. A gentleman who writes for Real Clear Investigations by the name of Paul Sperry.
The New York Post.
Yep. Who else has been really supportive of us?
DundalkTV?
Absolutely.
TV, which we greatly support. We appreciate. Forgive me.
We've had an opportunity to kind of skip over a little bit more of the local media coverage. Something that sparked, I think, Nicole and I have been talking about how we could get more involved to support parents, because we went through a 4-year process for my autistic son to get him privately placed in school. We saw that there were school violence issues. We had some information from police. We knew how to work the report. We felt like this was going to be very much a local campaign. Then Nicole went to a board meeting, and that evening was on 4 major news stations, local news stations. She was then quoted after we went to Christian Mealy's town hall. And then it was crickets for about 3 months from local media sources. But all of those national media sources have certainly picked up.
Well, and we left one out, the Heritage Foundation, which
and the Daily Signal
has been profoundly supportive of us in some really great ways. So although we haven't found a tremendous amount of local media up till Project Baltimore started working with us, we have found a lot of very good support from some national media sources.
Now, Kevin, I want to go to Kevin, because Kevin was sharing me that he actually has a news organization reaching out to him when things happen in the schools.
Oh yeah, every time something happens in the schools, because of what I'm doing in my other life, I get a phone call from the Baltimore Sun or some other local papers that want a statement from me, but most of the time they just want a political statement. They don't. Once I start talking about the organization, they kind of shut down and don't want to talk about that. They just want to know where I stand at politically on what happened in this school.
But I'm happy they're writing something about it, because any kind of awareness is good.
Right.
Now, not everything has been positive, though. When Nicole had shared with me in a conversation, not everything has been positive. Some people like to put spin out there. So you've run into some of that as well.
Yeah.
And how does that feel?
It doesn't feel great. It's actually frustrating. 2 of my national interviews, one with the Huffington Post and one with the Hill, I would not consider to be the greatest interviews, not because they were mean to me or derogatory to me, but because their reporting was skewed based on their own agenda, and that was clearly evident from the information that they reported based on my interview. So for example, the Huffington Post, they asked me a lot of questions about my experiences, asked me why I would go to Secretary DeVos, and I did explain that she's our leader and she's the one that is responsible for the decision. She asked me why, with a special needs child, I would be against guidance that would protect him, and I took the time to explain how Josh and I see the value of interventions being more important than sweeping behaviors under the rug because of its lasting impacts on a disabled child growing up. Her article was about gay lesbian rights, and
essentially called us racists for wanting to end this guidance, which portion of the guidance says that because students of color are disproportionately suspended or expelled at higher rates, then we shouldn't expel or suspend them. I don't have a racist bone in my body. The children, all of the other children within schools that are going to school and want to learn, it could be in a predominantly African American community. If there's 30 students in that room and one student is out of line, there are 29 that now lose their opportunity to be educated. There's 29 that are losing out on a positive education or positive influences
safe
from
environment.
teachers that want to be there. We are not pushing this because of a racist agenda. We're pushing this because we want all students to have a safe place to go to school, teachers to be comfortable and safe and know that their authority is not going to be, they're not going to be handcuffed or hogtied from having authority within their classrooms to operate effectively and correctly. We want to influence budgets to where special needs teachers get better education, aides are paid at higher rates, and there are other professionals within a school. Instead of having one school psychologist for 4 elementary schools, let's have one per elementary school. We have a whole lot of different places that we want to see positive come from this, but we've had a lot of folks that have simply decided that because we want the guidance rolled back, that we are going to be called racist.
Well, and I guess it was disheartening to see that in some of the media coverage, there was a clear agenda, and those organizations weren't willing to report what I said when it didn't go along with their agenda.
Right.
Which means that all the readers are now at a disadvantage because they don't get the opportunity to see a whole picture.
Right.
It means that their education on the topic is skewed.
Well, I'd have to say the biggest thing that bothers me is that our local media is not covering it the way it's supposed to. I mean, our children are so important. They're the most vulnerable people out there. The special needs community is the most vulnerable people out there. This should be brought out a long time ago. They shouldn't have been on the side. Actually, it almost feels like to me that the school system and the news media were kind of working together there. They're suppressing the news and getting the information out there. So I'd like to commend the 3 of you and your group, everyone who's been working with you on the great job that you're doing. I would like to thank everybody who's done a positive news report the way they should have, and look forward to doing some more things with you in the future, and would like for you to just go over one more time how your organization, and give the contact information so everyone's clear on that.
Absolutely.
Sure. So you can find us on Facebook. The group is Parent2 Parent Network. You can email us at info@parent2parentnetwork.org. Nicole and I and Kevin are on there often. We post articles. We're looking for comment and suggestion. We're looking for folks that have had similar experiences or circumstances that they want to share their story with us. We want to build a coalition of motivated citizens to help move this forward, to help make our schools safer, not just talk about it, not just hypothesize, but to actually put boots on the ground and make this happen.
Well, DundalkTV does our best to let people know that they're not alone and they have a voice, and you have given them a very strong voice. So anyone out there that has a problem, please contact Josh, Nicole, or also Kevin. They would be more than glad to help you.